Well, good morning. Happy March. I think we came in like a lamb this year to March, which hopefully means we go out like a lion, taking away all the snow. It is 6:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time in Barrie, Ontario. And it is March 1st, which means it's the beginning of the book club, James Clear, Atomic Habits. So I want to welcome you to the club today. If you haven't joined yet, I'll have a link with this to take you over to the LinkedIn group where it's all happening. So if you have been wanting to transform your life and you're wondering, will a book really do it? Well, the short answer is yes, if you read it well, if you immerse yourself in it and you take action, if you are doing it at the unconscious level with your heart, your soul, your emotions involved, so that you can see it, hear it, feel it, taste it, smell it, live it in your imagination. Absolutely, a book will start that process of changing your life. James Clear does a great job of bringing in many of the elements of transformation that truly will make a difference. What we will be adding in as we read the book over the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'll probably spend 6 weeks working on this. If you can join for the first four, we'll be through the main section of the book. We'll do the last couple of sections in the weeks afterwards. So first of all, let me share with you a little bit about how we're going to run this book club together. It's all happening over on LinkedIn in a group over there called Mindful Entrepreneur. As I mentioned, the link will be below. Every Monday at 9 a.m., I'm actually also going to be holding a Zoom session, which is a live interactive session with anyone who would like to join. We'll talk about the core lessons. We'll do some hot seat coaching. Also share a couple of hypnosis tracks during the course of the month that will help your unconscious mind step more easily, naturally, and faster into the person that you are becoming, right? Because we know that James Clear talks about habits, but not from the standpoint of white knuckling to make the change, from the standpoint of who are you becoming? Who is the kind of person who does the things that you want to do? So I made a few notes to keep on track. Let me flip to some of those notes and take you through what we're going to do. So first of all, welcome to the club of people who want to transform their lives by little daily actions instead of the BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal trying to drive you forward. There's such a level of emotion involved in those big, hairy, audacious goals that is very hard to maintain, which makes it hard to maintain your momentum. So, can atomic habits change your life? Well, absolutely. Because as you build new habits, what you're doing is you're reestablishing trust in yourself, right? How many things in the last year, 2 years, 3 years have you said, I'm going to change this? And some of us at New Year's will say, if I could just get this 1 or 2 or 3 habits happening, my life will transform. We'll set those New Year's resolutions. Well, there's a reason that by this time of year, by March 1st, over 80% of people have failed at their New Year's resolutions. Like, there's a lot of reasons. And the key reason is that there is a science, there is a neuroscience to goal achievement. The part of your brain that set those goals is not the part of your brain that needs to then take action and achieve those goals. Atomic habits and this book club are how we're going to bolster that for you. Because when you teach yourself that you can floss your teeth every night before bed, consistently, when you are the kind of person who sets an intention and then follows through on even the tiniest habit, you build that self-trust, which is essential for self-esteem. When you have that, when you have self-trust and self-esteem, you have the realization you can indeed do everything. So how we're going to go through this? Well, we're going to meet in the LinkedIn group. Each day I'm going to post a question that helps you explore atomic habits or your relationship to the habits and the behaviors that you are conducting. We're going to have a daily question that you can engage with, perhaps answer. In fact, reading Atomic Habits is a habit in itself, isn't it? Right? If you're not already reading a few pages of nonfiction every day, you have to establish a new habit. to take part in this book club. Because all change is interpersonal, that's why a book club can make such dramatic results, because you're showing up, you're committing on a daily basis to just coming to the group, see what the question is, even if you don't answer the question in the group, or even journal about the question that day. If your minimum viable action to show that you're the kind of person who values self-transformation and personal growth is show up, takes 3, 4, 5 seconds, right? Bookmark the page, the group, find the question right at the top of the feed and like it. That minimum viable action you can do in less than 2 minutes, which you'll discover during the next month and a half, is the real key, right? That minimum viable action that says, I'm the kind of person who values personal growth, who likes to have a growth mindset and extend my boundaries and become that new comfort zone. That tiny action will program your reticular activating system to say, oh, this is just the kind of person I am. I show up. I do this thing. That in itself is a basic place of self-trust. So as soon as you actually right now, pause the video if you're not watching live and hop over to the LinkedIn group, bookmark it, put it right in your bookmark bar so that as you log in, just before you check your email, visit the page, find the question, like the question. You do that every day for 30 days, and you have added a new facet to your identity that is committed to personal growth and is proving to yourself that you can follow through. So on the Mondays when we do the Zoom, that'll be weekly at 9 a.m. We'll go 45 minutes, maybe an hour at the most. We will talk about the section that we're dealing with. So week 1, pick up the book, read Foundations. And as you're reading it, there's some homework that you will do during it. You'll look at, where do I want to go? Right? We'll get into that a little bit later. What habit will get me there? We'll talk about that a little bit too. So you're going to look at that identity you're stepping into, the strengths that you're going to activate within yourself to be more fully that identity, and then the actions, the habits that will get you there. We'll do that hot seat coaching as well during Zoom. So if you have questions during the week, email them to me, share@mindfulentrepreneur.ca, or message me right in LinkedIn. I'm there every day because I'm that kind of person. We'll have some interaction. We'll have that accountability piece too. So decide who will you be accountable to. Maybe invite them to the group or have a separate text message you send them when you carry out your habit of the day. One of the things that I'll talk about again are those things that make change happen. 98% commitment to change equals failure. 100% commitment, that proof to yourself that you are doing the thing that you said you would do, equals success. So just bookmarking that page, showing up each day and liking the question is 100% commitment to taking that step every single day. And that's where magic comes from. You may have heard me say in the past, I like to find those actions that auto-magically create your brilliant success in life. So as a lifelong learner myself and a book lover, I truly believe that any powerful book can change your life if you dig into it. And that's what we're really going to do this month. So getting back to my notes, I know I want to be efficient in my time. So a couple of codicils to that. Remember as a kid, you used to see those commercials for frosted sugar bombs, whatever type you were in love with. Maybe it was alphabets, maybe it was honeycombs, and it would say, this is part of a complete breakfast. And then they'd show like eggs and whole wheat toast and juice to help you understand how to actually build a complete breakfast and include those frosted sugar bombs. Well, it's not quite like that. James Clear has deep, powerful tools that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be. You need to know where you want to be. So that's one of the codicils. As part of a planned and intentional life, this book can absolutely be a piece of your transformation. So where do you want to go? Most of you here are business people, but that doesn't mean this has to be a business goal. It could be a parenting goal. It could be a community involvement goal. Who do you want to become, and what will you be achieving when you know that you are there? Right? Habits are how to get there. I still have my email open. Sorry for that bing. Let me just close that up. So habits will create the results that you want. But if you don't know what those results are, that can be one of those places that you spin around in circles. So we're going to spend this first week identifying that big landmark. How will you know you are becoming that person that you want to be? And how is it observable? We'll talk a little bit about SMART goals in the weeks ahead, because although James Clear dials back from goals, goals are one of the ways that we measure our results, and what you measure grows. So that vision first, the goals that get you there, and then who you need to be to achieve that goal so that you can map out the behaviors that will get you there. And success is created not from the massive goals, but from those teeny tiny actions, isn't it? The little actions you repeat consistently and daily that lead logically, automatically to success. Also, all of transformation is unconscious and interpersonal. Understanding that about the brain, when you see great philosophers' statement, I always thought it was Socrates, but apparently it's not, that invocation of know yourself. That means knowing how your brain works, knowing how your habits work, what you tend towards, and being able to then adjust. So during the month, we're going to intentionally build that self-trust we talked about at the beginning and prove that you can change by changing. Isn't that typical, right? How do you know that you can change? Because I have changed, and we're going to create profound, simple change during this month together. So the challenge, of course, is that you need to backward engineer your goals into actions, because remember, the part of your brain that sets the goal isn't the part of the brain responsible for execution. So part of planning has to include turning that into that systematic, who am I being? What strengths will I bring to bear? And what actions do I do to be that person? Right, as you step fully into that identity. And I'll be giving you a hypnosis next week called the model of possibility, in which you step into that future self. What I love about Atomic Habits is it is about future self work, which is where the most profound transformation happens in coaching and hypnosis. It's intentional identity work. It's also about building awareness of how you are currently showing up, and awareness of how that needs to be edited in simple fashions, right? That 1 degree change in your GPS that leads to that whole new destination. And reprogramming those unconscious strategies that are actually right in the physiology of your brain that naturally run. It's like stepping out of your door. You follow the path through the snow instead of slogging through 2 or 3 feet of deep snow. You have some habits in your brain that are that simple to follow, and how we reprogram those is right inside of Atomic Habits, as well as a couple of the other tools I'm going to give you during the month. I also love that James Clear talks about using the environment to deliberately create a space of change. Benjamin Hardy says, first you create your environment, and then your environment creates you. Because 95% of our day is unconscious. We react to those things around us naturally, easily. Whether it's a bag of chips sitting in the cupboard that are very easy to access instead of having to peel the carrots and chop them up and get them out, right? We respond to our environment in ways that are very automatic. So as we unpack the elements of transformation, that be, do, have, who are you being that does the things that you want to do so that you can have the results that you want to have? What strategies do you need to change? So you'll see in habit stacking that James Clear talks about, what are you already doing that you could just add to? What strategies already running consistently that you could just edit? That's far easier than trying to build from nothing, that with no landmarks in the middle of the day, you're going to take action. A landmark is what tells you it's time to do something. And then we take a look in future weeks about what can you put in your environment. So I've committed to going live at least 3 days a week. That may end up being as many as 6 days a week. What do I have to do in my environment to make that really easy to happen? And I'll show you a picture next week, or in the next week, of what I put into my kitchen. I'm actually standing in my kitchen right now, making it very easy to have my cup of coffee here. My cup of coffee is right here. My lights are on, my green screen's behind me, my microphone's sitting right here so that I can just if I wanted to, any time of the day, walk over here, open StreamYard, and start recording. I won't do that to you. So changing habits at the behavior level is the hardest way to get results. But don't worry, that's not actually what atomic habits means. It means chunking up to what is your identity? What beliefs do you hold that form that identity? What thoughts and thinking do those beliefs create? Because your beliefs create your thoughts create your emotions, the state that you're in, powerful, bold, brilliant, confident, or even imposter syndrome, doubt, and fear. Right? What are you telling yourself that leads to that state, that leads to behaviors that are not desirable? Procrastination, overwhelm, fear, and imposter syndrome, right? And knowing that awareness means we can back that up and say, what do I want to tell myself instead? What would I have to believe about me, the world, the universe, in order to tell myself that story? And who believes those beliefs? Who would I be becoming? And here's a cool thing that makes this all very authentic and legitimate and congruent. The person you want to believe is already inside you. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to be that person. The vision that you hold for your success is yours. You own it. Otherwise, it wouldn't resonate. Otherwise, you wouldn't beat yourself up for not having it yet. It is authentically and congruently you, who you are, your vision of success, who you want to be. Anything not that is lies and baggage. Test yourself on this. Even think about somebody else's big, bold vision and think, does that even resonate for me? Not really, right? Truth resonates. So even if you are not acting it, it is still yours. Anything else is baggage, old habits from the past, old beliefs, and we're going to transform them this month. So habits are simply behaviors that you repeat consistently until they become you. They become unconscious and just the way you naturally are. How you're being is a function of who you are being. So this week is all about get ready. So first, if you don't have a copy of Atomic Habits yet, go grab it. You're going to get a copy of the book and read the foundations. And as you are reading that, be thinking about not just the habit that you would like to form, but what do you want, right? I say coaching's easy. You figure out where are you at point A, where do you want to be at point B, map out a strategy to get there. Complication comes from people don't know where they are at point A. They've dialed back their expectations, hopes, and dreams for point B just from repeated failure and not being able to trust themselves to follow through. And so the strategy is impossible to design because there is no destination. Once we have A and B, we can map out that strategy and then build the habits and remove the bad habits that get in the way of taking action and executing. As you're doing this, one of the questions you can ask yourself is look at your 3-year vision and then ask yourself, why can't I get there in 6 months? You need to credit some of these sayings. I'll have to look them up and see where did they come from because that's not me. That's just a really powerful way of looking at how we hold ourselves back, how we insert delay and doubt and hesitation into our life, and the fact that we can just choose in a decision in this moment to change that. So start from identifying what results are you not getting to get that vision. Results that excite you, inspire you, encourage you. At 2 a.m, you wake up and you're like, oh, I want that. Funny that 2 a.m tends to be when that happens. What impact do you want to have? And then identify the behavior, those little tiny actions that, if done consistently, will automatically create the result for you. And it's not about shooting yourself, not about looking at what do other people do to get this. It's really about tapping into your strengths, looking for that congruence. So they should stretch you. They aren't necessarily natural to you right now, but they make sense. So from your identity into your strengths, and from your strengths, what habits you would like to build. So I have a few habits that I mentioned in the email and in that post in LinkedIn group of habits I want to install that play to my identity as a generous business coach and hypnotist. I give my best stuff. I show up consistently to encourage people. I add the bits of magic that make it all easy. That's the identity I'm building and stepping more naturally into. My strengths, well, I love to teach workshops. I love to see people gain paradigm shifts, and I'm very comfortable doing workshops. I miss doing those in-person workshops that we haven't been able to do in the last couple of years. I'm strategic. I naturally backward engineer results that you want into what does that mean for today? What do you need to do this year, this quarter, this month, this week, today to easily reach that result that is happening a year from now or 3 years from now? I have strong empathy skills. I'm also a visionary leadership type. I can see your brilliance very clearly. I can see what gets in your way and plot a path to get you there and inspire in you the brilliance to more naturally use the tools to move that forward for the rest of your life. So the habits that I'm needing to create in order to create the results that I want, where I'm standing in 3 years congruently in that identity and showing the results of having lived as me more fully for 3 years. Create content every day because that's the kind of person I am, right? I share my best stuff by creating content every day. First, by journaling, because if I sit down at a computer and start trying to create content, there's this level of productivity with a big P and some twistedness to it that gets in my way. Whereas if I journal it, I can fill 12 pages of a journal with ideas. And actually, I'm actually looking at my journal right now as I pull my notes forward. From the journaling, then I'll go to posting and the lives. And I can pull some of my workshop pieces that I love so much into that as well. So from the post, I can tell people I've got a template for this, just ask. And by developing the deeper programs too that open people's eyes, meet their needs, and have them make new paradigm shifts. So the posting and the lives are great because they get you a taste. And it does resonate, right? It lights up the part of you that knows there is more, that knows you haven't yet unlocked your potential. It doesn't necessarily get you the result just from a 10-minute video or a single book, but it proves to you that you can be the person that gets that result. So for you, what's your identity that you're stepping into? What strengths are you going to activate? And what habits will that create for you? So during the next 4 weeks, that's where we're growing. And we'll do a couple more weeks at the end of some of the advanced things. I hope you come along. So a little reminder this week is about foundations. Read a few pages a day of that section of the book. Look at what new habit you want to install beyond the reading a few pages every day. Bookmark the group, show up, like the question, interact with it, but at the bare minimum, remember that 2-minute action that proves to you that you're the kind of person who is committed to personal growth and change is simple. 2 minutes each day for magic. The Zoom link for the weekly optional group meeting will be in the group as well as, no, it'll just be in the group. Go to the group. You need to go to the group if you want to prove to yourself that you are 100% committed to your personal growth. So go to the group. The Zoom link, I'll see if I can sticky it to the top. I'm going to share some deeper transformation during the Zooms, do some of that hot seat coaching, share some other tools, give you links to a couple of hypnosis tracks. There's a couple of really great worksheets that explain what gets in the way of change because that's missing from the book. There is a great book called Immunity to Change that talks about conflicting beliefs and needs, that if you're not aware of them, if you don't bring them to awareness and build a way to meet that old need while still doing the new habit, then you cannot maintain change because you will be firing off your amygdala, going into survival mind when you try to step into your bold and brilliant. That's just not okay. So we'll be doing all that. If you go to James Clear's website, you will find that he has a workbook there. He's got a 30-day transformation. If you want to do that at the same time as we're doing this, more power to you. He's got templates on how to design your habits. He's got some samples of habits. You know, the goal is not to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The strategy is an identity-based habit. The habit is reading. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner, right? What can you do that doesn't end, that doesn't just stop, right? Lifestyle changes are the ones that are the easiest to do and the most impactful for you. You'll see that week 1 is really about deciding the kind of person you want to be by asking yourself, who's the type of person who can achieve the results I want? Who do I want to be? Who's been fighting inside me to get out and I've just not been following through? What values do you want to stand for, right? Doing values work is hugely motivational because values are actually emotions that have been turned into nouns. And when you turn them from a noun back into a verb again, you will see action naturally flows. Determine one habit that, as James Clear says, casts a small vote for becoming that kind of person. And what is a 2-minute version of that habit? So personal growth, you could say, I'm going to read all these books. I'm going to do all the coaching. I'm going to go through a deep transformative hypnosis. But the scaled down version is I'm going to bookmark the LinkedIn page, that group. I'm going to show up every day, find today's question, and at least like it, right? So that I'm the kind of person who shows up for personal growth every day. And decide what time of day you're going to do that. Before you open your email isn't a bad time, because if you're like me, I open my email every day except Sunday. I don't open it on Sunday. So if you're trying to get a hold of me on Sunday, you could text me and I'll probably reply. I may not reply till Monday because I take Sundays off. So what is that moment of decision in which you know it's time to do that habit of reading James Clear, of going to the LinkedIn page? You might want to even set a couple of little alarms or reminders for the first week to keep that awareness opening happening. So I will do this behavior at this time in this location. I will log into the LinkedIn group at 8 a.m. When I sit down at my desk before I open my email. I will read 20 minutes in the evening, and you'll know, just a little quick peek at a future chapter, putting the book on your pillow when you get up in the morning is likely to lead to you reading it before you go to sleep at night. So let's get started. I've read Atomic Habits in the past. I'm going to pick it up and start at page 1 and be reading along with you, starting with foundations this evening. I am so excited to be doing this with you. I'm going to transform. I hope you decide to transform. I hope to see you in the LinkedIn group taking part, being active. And if you have questions, showing up to the Zoom as well. And let's do some hot seat coaching and have some fun with this. Having fun, also pretty key to making change, because the more fun you have, the more emotion you bring, the more your unconscious mind cares about it. You get the dopamine, you get the oxytocin going, you activate that lion inside of you that is part of a tribe of lions. Let's get going. I'll post this to the group. It's already showing up on Facebook. I noticed somebody saw me going live earlier. And I will see you tomorrow with a question in the LinkedIn room, and let's see what we can create together. End broadcast. There it is. All right. See you soon.